This has given me butterflies to even talk about because I feel like this is a really vulnerable one for me. But it's the belief that I'm not good enough to charge that much. Hello and welcome back to the More to Life podcast, episode 16. And this is actually a part 2 to my last episode, which was all about the main subconscious breakthroughs that I experienced when I did Helena Donald, aka Girl Unfiltered's 12-week Money Mindset program. It's a group coaching program called Money Mindset Magic, and it was absolutely amazing. What I told you about in the last episode was very much about being seen and being heard and actually putting yourself out there. And it was about the struggles that I had with my own beliefs around that and how that impacted me. But this week we're moving away from the being seen and the being heard and those kind of limiting beliefs and into some beliefs that I had around worthiness and around receiving. A lot of the time we have these niggly little beliefs about whether or not we even deserve the goals that we're working towards. And that can massively impact whether or not it shows up for you in your life. And I would say, if you think this might be you, go ahead and listen to this episode. But honestly, I didn't even think I had any issues around worthiness until I uncovered these beliefs and it became very, very clear to me. So I would say, honestly, just listen to it anyway. If you're thinking, oh no, I feel worthy of my goals, still listen to this because you could very much uncover or just bring light to something that is actually standing in your way that you don't even realize. Or maybe you don't actually feel as comfortable receiving as you think you do. I mean, if I said, I'm going to give you €1 million right now, you'd probably be like, well, hey, this is great. But actually, on a deeper level, there might be discomfort with that. For example, there could be something about, well, I didn't work hard enough to earn this. There could be something about, oh my God, I feel like I'm taking from somebody else. There are actually so many things that go on under those layers that, I mean, yeah, on the surface level, we'd all love to just be given €1 million, but there's some deeper stuff that goes on, and that's what can actually stop people from getting to that point. And for me personally, I thought I believed I was worthy, and I thought that I believed I was comfortable receiving. But when I tell you about the beliefs that actually came up for me around this, it's going to be very clear that actually that wasn't the case at all. And again, this might spark a realization in you that helps you uncover and then shift whatever that might be within yourself as well. First things first, let's get into the win of the week. So the win of the week this week is discovery calls for me are finally feeling really, really good. Again, I want to be totally transparent on my podcast. I want to be really, really honest with you. Before I started this business and when I was working in my original business, my fitness business, I hated discovery calls and they were the scariest thing to me because I was like, I have to speak to another human being and ask them for money. But when I was building my fitness business, I had a business coach who pushed me into those very pushy, salesy type strategies, and it just felt all wrong to me. I felt so sleazy. I felt like I was tricking people into signing up with me, and I even remember a certain client signed up with me, and afterwards she was like, how did you do that? It's like you put me in a trance. And I was just like, yeah, take my money, but I actually don't have the money. And that is not what I want for people at all. I don't want people to feel tricked into working with me. I want them to genuinely want to work with me. And now I have totally changed my discovery call process and my sales process, and it honestly just feels so much better now. The main focus when I get on that call, I'm not even thinking about selling this getting them to sign up. Really, I'm not thinking about that at all. I am getting on that call and I'm thinking, how do I make this useful for them? They're spending 45 plus minutes with me, chatting with me, whatever it is, and I value that person's time. I'm not using all these mind games to try and get them to sign up. I'm like, how can I show this person that it gets to be easier and they get to have systems and strategies, and you actually get to create what you want to create in your life. Providing value for that person has now 100% become my number one priority in the call, and that just makes it feel so much better for both of us, really, for me and for the other person. And in doing so, I've already made some amazing connections with some very powerful women who are aiming for bigger things in life. And nothing has felt salesy or disgusting like it did before. Because A, I'm aligned with the people that I allow into that space. B, I'm aligned with the value I'm providing to them. And at the same time, I'm aligned with my actual prices as well, which makes the whole process even easier again. But I guess the win here is just creating a system that genuinely feels good for all parties involved. And that win is far more important to me now than just getting the sale. And there are certain situations where I don't even offer the high ticket offer because I know with what the person has told me that it's not quite the right fit. And I wouldn't just push it just because it might increase my numbers. Like that's not even what it's about for me. I'm building a brand that I want to be evergreen and I want to last. With that said, if the message I'm sharing about creating strategies and systems to get more out of your life is resonating with you, then I actually have a Calendly link down below specifically for listeners of the podcast where you can book your free expansive discovery call and we can get much deeper on those big goals you have and the whole reason you even listen to this podcast or podcasts like it, and begin to get you moving on the road to achieving those goals. And I genuinely want to give you that opportunity. If you're a listener of this podcast, I want you to avail of the services that I provide, even if you only avail of the free ones, because those services will actually help you create a plan to progress towards those goals, whether it's at the very beginning of moving towards the goals or at a position in the middle where you're kind of stagnating for a while. All right, now with all that said, let's get into the main topic for this episode. I'm going to bring you to another memory that I unlocked during the 12-week Money Mindset program. And this was a really unusual one. I remember this happening and I didn't think there was anything deeper going on for me, but evidently there was. So when I was very, very young, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 years old, it was Christmas and I was in some family member's house and we did the gifts and everything, and my nana gave me this doll. And for some reason, 4-year-old or whatever, Kate, decided that she didn't like this doll. It wasn't her cup of tea. And because I didn't like it, maybe I didn't thank my nana enough, or maybe I said something to my mom about I didn't like it. Whatever it was, I remember my mom told me not to be so ungrateful. And this created a lot of negative feelings within me that I was like, I just felt guilty for not liking it. I felt guilty for maybe not thanking her enough. It spiraled and created this even bigger ball of negative emotions. At which point I created the belief within myself that when it's time to receive, it's safer to run. And now that I've spoken about discovery calls and how I used to feel about them, kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Before I did that Money Mindset coaching program, the thought of a discovery call was like sickening. I'd be anxious all day beforehand. I'd have like a nervous tummy. I would even be shaking when I was on the call, and you would hear it in my voice. It just felt to me like I was tricking someone, like I was taking their money, and it just did not feel good. And all of that made receiving feel like a bad thing, and it made me feel like I was a bad person. So can't you see how hopping on a discovery call is the perfect recipe for creating all this discomfort and dissonance within me? Because I thought, if you're ever in a situation where you can receive, run, get out of there. It literally triggered my fight or flight. And again, if you are an entrepreneur and you have your own business, I invite you to think about how it feels when you hop on discovery calls or any kind of call within your own business. Maybe journal on that. Why does it feel so uncomfortable and wrong to receive? Is there any memory that comes to mind when you were very young that led you to believe that receiving made you a bad person? And so on and so forth. And I do just want to reiterate, none of this stuff was ever happening on a conscious level. I wasn't sitting there thinking, well, it doesn't feel safe to receive, so I really don't feel comfortable with this call. I was thinking, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I'm tricking them into taking their money. I'm stealing. I'm a bad person. It's not like, it was never that conscious. It was all on a subconscious level, which is why so many people struggle with it, because if it's in your subconscious, how can you be aware of it? At the same time, I was also never going on calls thinking, mwahaha, time to take this person's money. Whereas now, I am excited to hop on these calls. And again, it's literally not even about the sale for me. I won't even bring up the sale if it doesn't feel aligned. I'm going on because I'm excited to talk to a woman who is probably like me, who wants more of their life, who is willing to put in the work to get more out of their life, and willing to invest in themselves to get more out of their life. Like, these are my people. These are my people. There's no point in trying to sell something to someone and sensing that they don't want you to sell to them and they don't want to hear it, and it just feels pushy and wrong. It's all way too uncomfortable and doesn't have to feel that way. And this new way of operating is only available to me because I changed that belief around receiving. So hopefully that resonates with some of you. Again, maybe not all of you have your own business, but even within your own life, I mean, everybody receives at some point. So does that stir up any kind of discomfort? And if this is resonating with you, feel free to DM me on Instagram at More to Life Kate. I honestly love hearing from you, and when you tell me that something I've said on the podcast is actually springing light bulbs in your mind, then yes, I want to hear that. I want to be a part of it. That's what I'm all about, and all I want is for us to rise together. Whew, okay, moving on to the next subconscious breakthrough, and actually the last one I'll be sharing with you. This next one was all around worthiness. This is a biggie in the subconscious breakthrough world, you could say. And it's one that so many entrepreneurs, particularly female entrepreneurs, really, really struggle with, whether they realize it or not, aka me, because I really didn't realize it. And that's the belief. This is giving me butterflies to even talk about, because I feel like this is a really vulnerable one for me. But it's the belief that I'm not good enough to charge that much, whatever that much is for you. If I said to you right now, if you're in business, double your prices or triple your prices, how does that feel? For some of you, maybe doubling it is already a big, ooh, that feels way too much. Or maybe doubling it feels okay, but tripling it is a big no-no. And it just feels like never in a million years would I do that. This personally tailor-made glass ceiling, what is that based on? That is going to cap your income at a certain point. And who wrote the rule book? You did. And that will continue to cap your income at that point unless you start to change your story and your beliefs. How I overcame this one was actually through a higher self visualization that we did in the program, where I quote unquote met my higher self, like in my mind. And can I just say, she was a whole fucking vibe. She did not disappoint. This is a version of me that I could see so clearly, and I literally have this image of her in my mind. And every time I feel like I need some boss bitch energy, that is who I channel in. I'm like, I visualize her. What is she saying to start her day? How does she interact with people and all this? Let me tell you, this woman, aka higher self Kate, she had this white halter neck jumpsuit with like these buttons down the middle, and she had a big high ponytail with lots of hair, very Ariana Grande-esque. And her makeup was on point, and her posture was good. There was not a hint of slouching. By the way, her outfit alone, whole power move. And actually in this visualization, I saw her recording an episode of the More to Life podcast, which feels like Inception right now. But she was recording it in a studio with a whole crew and like a celebrity guest, or not even celebrity guest, but like a high level guest who's up there in the female entrepreneurial industry. And it all had all of the bells and whistles, and everything was just, and maybe this is a little bit woo-woo, but it. She grabbed my shoulders, looked me in the eye, and said, Kate, You could triple this price and it wouldn't even be a tap on your worth. You are beyond worthy as you are right now. As you are. And this revelation honestly made me emotional because that had never even occurred to me, that I could be worthy of higher prices. Because yeah, if you don't define your own worth, you're basically just leaving it up to everybody else to do it. And then you just fall into whatever they cap your worth at, which is always going to be lower than it should be. Unless you are very strategic about the kind of people that are around you. That's a whole other topic. We can do a whole podcast episode on that. But the thing is, nobody external to you even knows the half of what you're capable of. You know your capabilities. And Higher Self Kate also told me that people not affording it is a them thing, not a you thing. So that also made me emotional because for some reason I had always put that on myself, which now that I have been through this process, I realized doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And this is not to shame anybody who can't afford it. That's absolutely not what this is about. It's more so about standing strong in your power and your worth, knowing that you're a badass and you can absolutely create results for people and that actually you are the one in charge. And like I've said before, I am so aligned with my prices now. They feel good for me. They feel good for the women I work with. And it sets a standard for me to show up for them at a high level. And it also sets a standard for them to show up too, because if you're investing a certain amount and it feels like a stretch, yeah, you're absolutely not going to let that go to waste. You're going to step the up and you're going to take the advice. Even with the prices that I've set right now, they feel very aligned for now, but I know in the future they will increase again. I know for me there's also room to push them higher, way higher even. So I really hope that hearing my own personal subconscious breakthroughs has been eternally helpful for you when it comes to discovering more about yourself, your own beliefs, your own life, and your own money mindset. It's funny that they're not always about money, but it does end up impacting your money story. All right, let's get into the quote of the week. The quote of the week this week is one that I have seen plastered all over Pinterest, Instagram, any inspirational page. But it's just so good. I had to say it. And that's visualize your higher self and start showing up as her. It's really interesting. You probably even noticed that when I was just talking about my higher self that I met in my mind, I got more sassy and I got even more confident and like boom, boom, boom. So imagine you channeled that shit all day, every day. Whew! Imagine how much bigger and better your life would be. Obviously, everyone's higher self is different. They're all going to have different traits. But guess what? Nobody can tear you down when you know your damn worth. All they're ever going to do is highlight their own downfalls, not yours. All right, now I want you to go back about 15 seconds and listen to that again. All right, now let's get into our Q&A. So the question of the week came in from Vivian, and she said, do you still practice intentional living and getting things done at the weekend? All right, now obviously everybody's going to be so different, but if you're asking me specifically, what suits me is still getting some stuff done at the weekend, but I'll usually not mark the occasion, but I'll make it kind of different type of work to what I do during the week, because I feel like giving up 2 whole days when my goals are really my absolute priorities, I just feel like it's too much time to give up. But that's, again, like there's no judgment if you give up that amount of time or more. It's just what suits me specifically. Usually on the weekends, I will get up early still and I'll work till I'll get things done maybe till like lunchtime. Probably lunchtime at the latest, really. I mean, if I feel like I want to keep going, I'll keep going. But obviously there has to be some space in your week for chill, for family time, friends time, boyfriend, girlfriend time, whatever. It really just depends on where your priorities lie. And there's absolutely no shame if your priorities are not with your goals at the weekend. Like that is absolutely fine. So for me at the weekend, it'll be things like maybe I'm planning my content for the week. Maybe I'm reading or studying or learning. Like I'm kind of a forever student. Like I just genuinely love learning. I'll do things like that. Whereas during the week, it'd be more client calls, product creation, filming YouTube videos, podcasts, stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of the extent of it. And then usually on a Sunday, that's like my favorite day because I'm like planning the week. I'm creating my schedule for the week. How am I going to get the most out of myself? I'll review the previous week and how did that go? And how can I improve on next week? And all that kind of stuff. But that's me. That's how I do it. It is totally an individual thing. So it's whatever works for you. Just like test things out for a few weeks. Test out being more of a hustler at the weekend for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And if you're thinking, what's the point? I never get to chill out. Then do it more chill. Test that for a few weeks and just kind of tweak and move along and improve as you go. Well, thank you so much for listening to the More to Life podcast. I know my battery is about to die in the camera, so I'm a little bit worried. And I have to say this outro fast. What I want to leave you with is visualize your higher self and start showing up as her. It is such a cliche quote. At this stage, it's been around for years on Pinterest and Instagram and everything, but it works. Take the opportunity to get really, really clear on who you are as your higher self and just shift into being her. Absorb who she is, like right now. Don't forget your special freebie is linked in the description of this episode, and I am so excited for you to snag that. All right, gorgeous. I will see you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, please slide into my DMs, share it on your Instagram stories. I'll share it on mine, and make sure you tag me at More to Life Kate so I can actually see it, and we can have a chat or whatever. I would love that. Okay, I'm gone. I will chat to you soon. Goodbye. Mwah!